Hello there friends and welcome. For today's guide, by viewer request, I want to finally show my Crusader Angel build, a character that is very fun, not only role-playing wise for the Angel path, but also gameplay wise. It's a build that has access to all of the Divine and Angel spells in the game up to level 10 spellcasting, and also extremely powerful melee potential with very high damage. Just look at the damage we do against a Desolating Galus Stormcaller, a very endgame Mythic enemy. 700 damage just from the first part of a single attack. The same against this succubus here, who pretty much explodes from our hit. And remember, all of these here are just from a single attack. You'll also have great attack bonus with a decent amount of attacks per round, extraordinary criticals and critical damage because of our very special Gravesinger Battle Axe, even decentish armor class despite not bothering with armor class feats and deeps at all, and of course very high saving throws and all of the angels immunities. So let's get started, first with just a quick analysis on how the Crusader archetype works for Cleric. So if you've watched my other guide, then you already know that Crusaders as a bonus have 5 extra feats to play around, although these feats are somewhat limited selection wise, but they do let you get fighter-specific feats such as greater weapon focus and weapon specialization. And their main downside is the lack of a domain. They only have 1 instead of 2, and 1 less spell slot per level, which we can easily overcome. So let's get started, shall we? Now when it comes to race, you don't necessarily have to go human, although it is as always my preferred choice, because as I just said, Crusader clerics have a lot of extra feats. Feel free to go another race if you prefer, and as usual, the Tiefling and Motherless is a good choice for the extra bite attack per round. When it comes to background, it's the same choice as usual, so Street Urchin and Pickpocket. There are some backgrounds here that give us nice proficiencies, but we don't have to rely on them as we're soon getting martial weapons proficiency anyways. When it comes to your ability points, since I want this to be a more melee focused cleric, we want to maximize strength at 19. Then 12 dexterity, we'll leave constitution at 12 here. Our angel buffs are so strong that we don't really need higher hit points, and there's a lot of buffs to increase our con and grant us temporary hit points anyways. And when it comes to wisdom, we want 16. For that we have to dump either intelligence or charisma. I recommend you dump intelligence. The reason I go with 16 wisdom is that as a Crusader angel, you will get level 10 spells just by natural progression. 16 I feel is a safe spot because you can then get the rest through headbands that increase your wisdom. And at the same time you don't have to rely too heavily on them. Skills wise, honestly, lore religion and the other skill point is up to you. This isn't really a character to make lots of skill checks, besides helping you avoid corruption when resting through lore religion. You can actually pick persuasion, because even though we don't have high charisma, there's quite a lot of different ways of enhancing our persuasion through gear boosts. Now let's talk about our level 1 feats. So the usual package for two-handers, and this will be a two-hander build for maximum melee damage, power attack, and then cleave. As usual, cleave lets you make 2 attacks per round just at level 1, which is great. After all, it is double our attacks. And it will remain useful until level 8, which is when clerics get the 2nd attack per round. Perfect for a very fun early game experience. When it comes to deity, well, I personally go with Erastio because of the animal domain. Basically any deity that has animal. Yes, I know it's another petty build, but what can I say? Animal is by far the most useful domain of them all. And with a pet, we don't have to rely on armor class and can easily focus it all on offense for even more melee power. But you can also go with Gosray, who also has animal. Channel positive energy here. And for our domain, well, animal of course. Now, I'll warn you, this isn't a domain-focused cleric unlike my previous Cleric Angel guide. This Crusader cleric is all about martial offense and self-buffing, so we'll only have animal domain. If you want more domains, well, we'll pretty much have to use Sosiel. We can't have everything at once. As for our Crusader bonus feat, martial weapons proficiency, the reason I get this here is that, well, even though this will be a battle axe build, at its core, for the super overpowered Gravesinger Battle Axe, it is still in your best interest for the early game, so around chapter 1, to use glaives for the reach property, and then chapter 2, the wide sweep sight, because it's just an OP weapon overall capable of hitting multiple enemies with just a single action. It is only at around chapter 3, so level 10 plus, that you can find the Gravesinger Battle Axe. and also get improved critical should truly make it the best choice. However, if you're already, starting this character from the late game and respeccing, what you can do is, instead of picking martial weapons here, pick the Warrior of the Lenormand King's background, which gives you Battle Axe proficiency for free. As for alignment, either lawful good or neutral good. Well, as an angel you can actually go lawful neutral as well if you prefer. For level 3 the choice is a given cleaving finish, so we get another free attack, this time when we kill an enemy, something that will happen quite a lot with our Crusader Cleric. And with a rich weapon this is even better, so the enemy doesn't have to be very close to you. At level 4, increase strength, which is also what we are going to increase on all of the other levels for maximum to hit and damage bonuses. Now at level 4, if you went with Animal Domain, we also get our Animal Companion at last. As usual, the dog and the wolf are the best, but you can also go with the boar and the Triceratops. The Elk Companion is an interesting choice as well, however, its gore attack at the moment is bugged and will not strip. For level 5, Boon Companion as usual, so our pet can now fully scale to our level for even higher power. As for your level 5 Crusader bonus feat, Weapon Focus, and then Battle Axe. I know I said you basically equip whatever nice weapons you find early on, like glaives, and most importantly the wide sweep sight. The reason we are picking Weapon Focus so early here is that, well, we have to, right? So our other Crusader bonus feats are already set in stone. For level 7, just like with any medium base attack bonus character, Outflank without a doubt. At level 9, pick Combat Reflexes. We do get this somewhat late, but at the very next level we are already getting improved critical, which will really enhance our attacks of opportunity through Outflank and the super powerful Gravesinger Great Axe, which is also coming very soon for our character. For your bonus feat at level 10, Improved Critical and then Battle Axe. So now our Gravesinger Axe will have 15 to 20 critical range, and at this point you should already be at chapter 3, which lets you find this axe just fine, by properly enchanting it as a Crusade relic. At level 11, go with Dazzling Display, if only so we can pick Shatter Defenses after. And for our level 13 feat, as I said before, Shatter Defenses. Remember that as a Crusader Angel, at this point, you can already cast the Frightful Aspect spell to automatically shaken enemies around you as an aura without a save, as to proc Shatter Defenses. At level 15, this is when I would pick Improved Initiative, because we don't really have that high dexterity, and at this point, so around chapter 4, the enemies start getting way higher initiative. But you can also go with Meta Magic and Heightened Spell for more spellbook flexibility, as to be able to slot your spells on other levels, especially the buffs, so you have more access to them. For our level 15 Crusader bonus feat, Weapon Specialization and then Battle Axe. For our level 17 feat, well, since we went with Improved Initiative before, this is when I'll get Heightened Spell. Even if we aren't, an offensive caster, we still can use more spell slots for some of our powerful angel buffs. As for your level 19 feat, honestly, it's all up to you. Like I said before, this build isn't feat starved, we already have by far the best ones melee wise, and it is also why I said you don't have to go human, because this extra feat here is free. You can go with something like Toughness for more hit points, although it's not really needed as an angel, due to all of our buffs, and even Accomplished Sneak Attacker, because at this point in the game you already have the Baphomet book that gives Sneak Attack for free. Blind Fight can be another pick as well, just so you can bypass certain concealment effects that aren't illusion based, for the ones where True Seeing won't help you. I think overall this is the best pick for this level, as some of the Demon Lords, they do have these annoying concealment effects that aren't pierced by True Seeing. As for your true last Crusader bonus feat at level 20, Greater Weapon Specialization and Battle Axe. Alright, so now let us talk about Mythic progression for our Crusader Angel. Your first ascension, well, is the usual. If you want more melee power through another attack per round, a Gore, go with Close to the Abyss. Remember, there's no consequence to picking this, even if you are an angel. On the other hand, if you want to support your party members with holy damage on their melee attacks, pets included, go with Instrument of Freedom, the AZATA first ascension. The other ones aren't particularly good for us. Because I really want this build to be the best at melee, I'll be going with Close to the Abyss. An extra attack matters a lot because of all of the buffs that add damage to this attack here that we get as an angel. As for your first mythic ability, Abundant Casting. Yes, I know I said this won't be like a spellcaster heavy build, but angels have very powerful buffs to highly increase your melee potential. So if you want to actually become a true beast at melee, you do need abundant casting for extra buffing slots. Plus, don't forget that as a Crusader, our main weakness is having one less spell slot per level. With abundant casting, we easily bypass that by gaining a net of +3 spell slots. There really is nothing so early that makes as much a difference as the abundant casting line. Not for a merged caster at least. For Mythic rank 2, extra Mythic ability and improved abundant casting. The main reason is that this build will get Elemental Barrage, and as an Angel, we have 2 buffs to add elemental damage to every single one of our attacks, as you easily proc Elemental Barrage soon enough. And of course we want more slots from these spells to cast them more and have Elemental Barrage 24/7. Plus it also helps with other nice buffs, like Freedom of Movement and Death Ward. For Mythic level 3, this is when I would actually pick Elemental Barrage. The beauty about Elemental Barrage, just at Mythic rank 3, is that at this point, our Angel can already add 2 elemental enchantments to every single one of our attacks. Through the aid of, well, first, the Angel buff Sun Marked, which adds fire damage and also a lot of holy damage. Second, the Genie kind spell. For this you can choose any elements than fire, so any form that's not Ifriti. So now, even with our Gravesinger X, which doesn't have any elemental damage by default, we can add 2 sources to proc Elemental Barrage on every single one of our hits for maximum damage. Otherwise, you can also delay Elemental Barrage to Mythic rank 5, which is, you know, only at chapter 4, so kind of a bummer, and get the greater abundant casting here. Don't forget to merge your spellbook with Cleric. For Mythic rank 4, the choice is also given, so Mythic Improved Critical and Battle Axe for a ×4 critical multiplier to our damage. Quite impressive, which is what makes the Gravesinger Battle Axe so powerful. For your Sword of Heaven and Halo abilities, as usual, remember that I already have a full Angel guide, you can check link to the side here, where I explain every one of these in depth. For now I'll keep it simple, so Everlasting Flame is a must because otherwise your Sword of Heaven will last only a single minute, which is super low. For Mythic rank 5, this is when I would go with Ever Ready. At this point we already have very high critical damage and a very high critical chance to get a lot of attacks of opportunity going through outflank. But you can of course get greater abundant casting now. The only reason I'm not picking it is because, well, you guys said you wanted a mostly melee focused Crusader Cleric, so Ever Ready is the way to go for that. And then for Angelic Halo, well, it's going to be the same as my Cleric Angel because these are the best Halos overall, so Piercing Rays. For Mythic rank 6, at this point you can't really avoid it, so extra Mythic ability and greater abundant casting. Remember that this works for level 7 and 8 spells. Sun Marked is a level 7 spell, and if you want to buff more allies, you need this. The reason I'm delaying Mythic Power Attack and Weapon Specialization is because, trust me, the damage you get, like just from Sun Marked alone, is way higher than that, the same as having an extra 3 spell slots of level 7, 8 and 9 spells. It's just a higher benefit. Our damage at this point is already massive with an Angel Crusader anyways. And then, Abolish Guile. Guile demons are, to me at least, the worst, and with this ability we get an additional 50% damage against them. No matter the source, spell damage, melee damage is going to be increased by 50%. For Mythic rank 7, so you have a few options here. As I said, this isn't the main build, so we're going to skip that. Mythical Beast to further empower your pet. Mythic Charge only if you have a SKALD party member that can provide pounds to you. Last Stand is not much of a need because, you know, we are pretty much unkillable as an Angel and we even have a self-revive spell. Inspirational Leader and Leading Strike, I prefer to leave it to other characters, so if you want to min-max your damage, you'll want Mythic Charge. But remember, you need a SKALD, with the Greater Beast totem for pounds. Lastly, I suppose you can also go with Enduring spells, and then Greater Enduring at level 9, although this is kinda late game. If only because you can turn some of the powerful 1-round level Angel spells into 24 hours. But at this point we have quite a lot of slots anyways, so it's not that needed. I'll be going with Mythic Charge. Then Solar Winds for Holy, Divine and Unholy resistance. And now for Mythic rank 8 is when I'll start getting the Mythic Feats, so first with Mythic Power Attack, because we are a two-hander. Then Speed of Light is an absolute must, because it grants 2 additional attacks per round, so 1 over the Haste spell. And the more attacks we have, the better, considering Elemental Barrage and all the Angel buffs. Then for Mythic level 9, I'll go with Mythical Beast here, if only because, well, we pretty much already have everything we need. Your last Halo ability is up to you. I like Flame to Life if only for the free healing effect. As for Mythic rank 10, Mythic weapon specialization, and that's about it. Well, we also have a Greatest Sword of Heaven ability, but you know we already have the best ones here. Overwhelming Flames can kinda help in melee if you're fighting enemies closely packed together, but the thing is, honestly we kill the enemies at this point so fast that it doesn't matter. So pick the one you prefer. Well, now when it comes to gear for your Crusader Angel, it's going to be in some way similar to my Electricity Archangel, so Dual Access Magnifying Amulet as usual for the bonus not only to armor class but your highest ability score, which is going to be strength for us. Before you find this amulet at chapter 4, you can go with amulets of natural armor or the ones that grant a bonus to initiative rolls. When it comes to armor, well, Mithril breastplates will be your best friend. Although as I said before, we don't really need high armor class because we can just rely on our pet, starting from around level 7, when we get to ride it. And for the early game we have access to glaives for reach. Now for the robe slot, I think the Robe of the Seven Sins remains the best choice overall if you have access to the latest DLC, the Treasure of the Midnight Isles, because this will increase your caster level by 3. Which does matter a lot when it comes to, you know, increasing the duration of your buffs, and also some spell variables. When it comes to belts, usually the ones that increase both strength and dexterity, but later on you get physical perfection to increase all physical stats. As far as gloves, Aurelius embroidered gloves are the best defensive wise. However, if you don't care for defenses, you can go with the Oppressor's gloves, so that the enemies suffer -2 to saving throws against mind affecting conditions after a critical hit, which can help your other allies. Panther's Gift won't really work for us because our weapon, even though we are two-handing it, it is still a one-handed weapon, so a battle axe. If you have fire-themed characters like Ember, you can also go with Treacherous Flame, so that whenever you get a sneak attack, and at the point you get these gloves you already have free sneak attack from Baphomet's skill book, the enemy will take extra fire damage and become vulnerable with fire, which has nice synergy with the Sun-marked spell and Elemental Barrage. Plus the saving throw debuff too. When it comes to boots, well, you know Ronak Sacrifice are pretty much always the best. It doesn't get any better than them. Now the helm slot, you can actually use quite a lot of different helmets, so the one I have here just for show is the Helmet of Camaraderie, which can highly increase your armor class. I have +3 morale here from it. You can however also go with the Hat of the Bitter End for more melee power, as this grants a very rare stacking bonus to attack rolls whenever you kill an enemy, and well, our angel is basically going to cleave everything apart. And this is also a Treasure of Midnight Isles item. The Helmet of Weakening Torture for bleed on hit, although it does have a not very high saving throw. And for the early game, headbands that increase your wisdom and also all your mental stats. So the reason I don't have them at the end game is that we can get the Broken Trickster glasses instead, also from the latest DLC, to increase both our wisdom and charisma by +6, which is enough for this character as he's not really a spellcasting cleric as far as offensive spells, more of a self-buffer cleric, so we don't need the highest wisdom possible. Pluses also have an extremely overpowered tanking effect, just in case your Crusader Angel gets hit. As for the cloak slots, you know the usual, the Cloaks of Resistance with the highest modifier. However, if you want to increase the power of your Bolt or Storm of Justice, and also a little bit higher damage with Sword of Heaven, then go with the special Angel version of the Mythic Cloak. As for rings, the Ring of Evasion as always, to help avoid a lot of annoying area of effects damage. The other ring is truly up to you. I have a Ring of Protection +6 here, but for an Angel it's not really needed, as you can just cast the Shield from Demonkind spell for higher effects than that. The Ring of Imminent Demise can be quite powerful because whenever you make an attack of opportunity, and we got a lot of them, the enemy has to make a Fortitude saving throw or be knocked down. The DC isn't that high, but you know, this is on hit. There's some other nice rings like Martyr's Testament for immunity to mind affecting before you get your upgraded Angel Halo, and some other core rings that I prefer to leave to other characters like the Clemency of Shadows Crusade Relic to further empower your attacks of opportunity, and the Ring of Summoning. Both of these rings actually have auras that affect all your party, which is why I leave them to other characters. Now when it comes to the Braces slot, so the Braces of Breaching can be useful to further empower your critical hits even if the DC isn't that high. The Clear Purpose Braces as well, as this will let you cast healing spells without provoking attacks of opportunity. And well, our Angel Crusader has a lot of healing spells, including the fastest access in the game to the Mass Heal spell, and of course will always be at melee range. Lastly, the Braces of Abrupt Onslaught, just for extra sneak attack damage, only for the late game though, which is when we get our sneak attack. Now when it comes to weapons, so this build specializes in battle axes because of the extremely overpowered Gravesinger battle axe, which has ×3 critical range by default, and also 18 to 20 critical, so the same as falchions, kukris, scimitars, rapiers. This is what makes this weapon so good, the fact that it has the best critical range, while also combining higher critical damage. As for our quick slots, well, a greater quicken meta magic rod, because even if you don't care about Storm and Bolt of Justice, you can still quicken mass heals, which really helps keep your whole party alive, especially on unfair. The old Grimoire is just for some extra low level slots. This can help early on with, for example, spamming Divine Favor, one of the best self-cleric buffs, before you get the truly OP angel buffs like Army of Heaven and Avenger's Blessing. The Dragon Familiar Jarsigax just as another source of elemental damage, so we can potentially have 3 with Sun-marked, Genie-kind, and then Jarsigax. The Grandmaster's Rod is just here for the cases where you want, to throw a super OP Storm of Justice for extreme damage against all enemies. Remember that this deals full damage and bypasses spell resistance and any immunity the enemy might have, so you don't really need any spellcasting boosting fees when it comes to having this at full power. You can also go with the Lucky Dice too, and of course the Covenant of the Inheritor Relic, but since this is an aura that affects your whole party, just leave it for another character. Well, alright friends, so this was it from my Crusader guide. I hope I've managed to properly show you how powerful this character can be. If you found this guide useful, please remember to like, subscribe, and even consider becoming a channel member to support it if you can and access some exclusive content. Thank you for watching and see you next time, friends.